Hi everyone, it's Mr. Rock again. I'm coming to you today with some good uh, emotion activities and some different ways of understanding what emotions are, specifically anger. So I have my notes like before, so please don't be offended if I look down. So let's start with one simple basic question. Have you ever had your child explode for no apparent reason? Or even as a response to something you've told them? Um, I This happens to me a lot in my home, specifically with uh, them not wanting to do the things that they're supposed to do. Another is not being able to get their way, and I'm sure most of you could probably relate to this. So, do they act this way for a specific reason? Is it because they don't understand their emotions? So let's kind of talk about different things, and maybe that kind of will help you along in the future. So, as adults, our kids look up to us when we are there with them. So, if they don't understand how to react to certain situations, they'll notice what we do and then they'll emulate it. So, we're modeling this type of behavior. So, if your natural response is to get very upset when something happens, their natural response is going to be that as well. I'm guilty of this. I'm sure many of you are as well. We're not alone. And we'll talk more about anger with everybody else. So, um, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is we most likely weren't taught how to handle our emotions. I know when I was growing up, the automatic response um, was to be punished somehow. Uh, I'm from an era where you could smack your children and not have to worry about the cops coming. Uh, am I saying it was bad? No. Am I saying it's what we want to do? I'm definitely not saying that's something that we want to do. We need to understand what causes those. And we'll talk more about that too as we go. So, one of the things that's most important um, when we teach emotions, especially anger, is we don't want to assign blame, nor should we want to feel guilty for falling short in this area. Um, so, what do I mean by that? So, if you knew your 5 year old was doing something and they refuse to acknowledge that, we don't want to automatically just say it's their fault and start going after them and attacking them this way. Because really, all you're doing is escalating it to something that it doesn't necessarily have to be. So, if any of you knew me 5 years ago, I'm not the same person I was now. I'm very guilty of losing my cool, especially when my children didn't uh, do things as planned, or if they got excited and that led to anger and rage. Naturally, I'm going to want to match that to express some dominance, and it's our inherent nature as adults to have control of a situation. I'm not saying that we should just let it go rampant, but we're going to talk about how you can maintain control while still teaching the things that are going on. Um, so before we do this, we have to look at anger um, and what it means. So, as you know, this year has been very scary for us. So if you can only imagine how scary it is for them, um, if you have a lot of anger and resentment, chances are your children do too. Uh, all we can do is kind of stick together. So anger is one of our most basic emotions. It's universal. We all experience this emotion. So I'm not saying that it's appropriate all the time. What I'm saying is, you and I are not that far different. You and your children are not that different when it comes to our emotions and how we express them, and it's all tied together. Sometimes we consider this is the primary response to a situation is they're just angry. Well, you almost have to kind of consider that that might be the only emotion that they know. So it could be tied to another emotion, probably one that's deeper, bigger, something that they haven't quite mastered or understood that particular type of emotion. So why is this? So, I mean, obviously they don't know how to express how they feel. They're still developing. Another is they're modeling your, or they're emulating your modeling of behavior. That fit of anger could be tied to fear, doubt, etc., whatever you think it is, and we'll talk more on how to do that as I go along. So what is anger? It's an adaptive or survival emotion. So it kind of grows and manifests itself as a result of an outside force. It's also easier to express anger than it is the other, which we were talking about. They're tied together. So probably you have noticed that your child is more impulsive with their emotions, and I've noticed this myself, especially with the children that I work. Is that's just because it's easier for them to go straight to that emotion than it is to categorize and think of ways to avoid it. So this typically ends up being a tantrum, a spat, argument, things of that nature. And a lot of it, like I mentioned before, is because the brain is still developing. So we have to kind of keep that in mind as we go. So what's the first step to correcting or teaching the proper way to handle this emotion? So we need to start thinking of anger more as a journey rather than a destination. We do this by explaining anger as our body's way of telling us something is not quite right. So if your child starts to be very angry, you can validate their emotion. Validation of an emotion isn't the same as saying it's okay, and that they can continue to do that. It's a way of saying it's okay. We all experience this emotion, so let's work together to do it. And there's a certain time to have that particular conversation. But if you're able to teach this, then you're creating a new cycle going down to where they'll teach their children that, and their children will teach their children that. So you're breaking the cycle of not teaching an emotion, and it starts with you. Or hopefully it starts with you. So you want to be more proactive than reactive. So something that I've learned over time is trying to communicate with a person who's angry is pointless. And why is this? Well, it's this way because when we experience anger, our thinking part of our brain shuts down. So anything that you're saying isn't really helping, and they're going to perceive it more as a threat, and they're going to keep on going. So one of the trainings that I've participated in, everyone else in our office talks about the crisis cycle. So some of you may know what it is. I'm going to show you. So basically this is a crisis cycle. As you can see, it very rapidly goes up, and then it slowly comes back down. So our goal is to find out what the trigger is and try to not communicate during this escalation point if we can't stop it. And you're going to want to wait all the way till over here at recovery before you have any conversations. So everything that you say is unheard. If we lose control, we lose the ability to think properly, and I'm sure if you've experienced, your child has experienced, and vice versa. So what we need to be is basically their anchor. We need to be the person who shows them the way. Allow them opportunities to talk about their emotions and build their coping skills. During the recovery stage, which is the last part of the recovery, the crisis cycle, that's when you're going to want to talk to your children. And this is a perfect time to figure out ways that they can remain calm in the future. One of my favorite things is to go and create an anger box. This typically would be things that would calm your child, soothe them, things that they find more aesthetically pleasing. So it could be like slime, it could be Play-Doh, it could be their favorite stuffed animal. In some situations, it could be a weighted blanket. We use that a lot in our house. It's like a whole body hug, and it makes them feel safe, because right now in their mind they're not thinking safe. So once you start to create these things during that trigger to agitation stage, this is when you're going to want to try and introduce it. This is when you want to help them find a way to stop it from escalating into something more. As a way to complement our anchor, we need to keep in mind that we're their lifeline. So how do we do that? First thing that we need to do is stay calm. And I know it's very hard to do that. I fall short of that sometimes. It really depends on the situation. And unfortunately, as adults, we tend to bring in some of our outside problems, some of the things that we deal with every day, and we bring it home with us. So we might not intend to, but we're essentially taking it out on our children when they start to be angry. So if you lose it, you're teaching them it's okay to lose it too. You almost have to ask yourself, if I cannot hold it together, why should I expect them to do that? Because we have to remember it's scary for them. So we want to be more proactive, and how do we do that? So a part of that conversation with a calming box or calming strategies that you can employ, you want to start a journal, write down what triggers them, so you can be more aware that this might be happening. But if you do it with them, you're teaching them for the signs that they need to look out for, so they can be self-aware as well. Now you're teaching them that when this particular emotion starts to manifest itself, that they can actively start finding a way to resolve that issue. So in doing this, we're creating an opportunity to grow together. You're teaching them how to get past these things, but you're also teaching yourself to do that, and you can have a tighter bond, because now they know that you know what these emotions are that they're starting to have, and that is what they're expressing. So the last technique or strategy that you want to look at is vocabulary. And what do I mean by that? They don't know what name to call a particular emotion, and sometimes we might not know a name for the emotion that we're feeling at this time, and that's okay. But if you work together and you teach them, this is what just happened, this is the emotion you most likely were feeling, extend it out, say, is there something that just happened, is there something else bothering you, and let them talk about it, and then you can explain to them that that's that emotion. And you're creating this trickle-down effect, where as they start to be angry, they're going to be like, I'm mad, or I'm sad, and they'll start to relate them to emotions that they kind of understand, but now you know that word too, and as they get older, you can fine-tune the names that you're giving to the emotions. So rather than blowing up, they'll start to recognize that they need to do these things, or they, like I mentioned, they can do that. So where do we find ways to do what emotions they have? There are tons of stuff on the internet. Some of it's going to be beneficial to you, some of it's not. Some of it's opinion based. I'm not saying that that's bad, but maybe find one that works for you that you know is from a trusted source. So perhaps maybe go to a blog that is written by a psychologist or a behavioral specialist or somebody along that line, and then pull those resources. And I have a couple here. So the one that I printed off is called a commometer. So essentially you're picking what emotion you feel, and then you're assigning a task to it. So the emotions right here, and then the tasks that you can do. They don't have to be these tasks. They can be other tasks that you want to use. Another thing to keep in mind too is when these emotions come up, maybe their brain just needs a rest, or it needs to stop what it's doing and do something else, kind of switch gears a little bit. So here's another one that says roll some brain breaks. I know that when I work with my kids, I tend to notice that they're either frustrated with the activity because it's not going the way they wanted, or we've tried to cram in so much information, their brain's just like, I'm done. So you can approach that a couple different ways. Build these yourself, make them what you want them to be. If you want to just draw one yourself with basic colors, that's fine. Say, okay, what color do you think this feeling is? And then you put that color to it. So there's a bunch of different things you can do. Again, make sure whatever you do is perfect for you guys. I also want to say that I'm here to help. So if you're watching this video and you have a question or you're stuck with something, please ask me, and I would be more than happy to help you. If it's something that I don't know the answer to, I have a network of people that I can reach out to that would be more than happy to help give me that information. So I don't want this just to be a conversation. I actually brought a book with me today. It's called Clam Ninja, and it kind of talks about some of the things that we talked about today, but it also will highlight some of the things that you can do to get past that frustration, that anger. How do you help maintain a sense of calm as you go through the day? So I'm going to read the book, and then we'll go from there. So as always, this is the front of the book, this is the back of the book, and if you notice, there's a bunch of different ninjas here, and this is the spine of the book. The author writes the words and the illustrator does the pictures. So I've only read this book a couple times, so bear with me if I stutter. Okay. Clam Ninja earned the nickname Coolio because he was as cool as a cucumber. And that's because no matter the circumstance, Clam Ninja could stay very calm. When Clam Ninja found out his brother ate his candy without asking, he would simply say, "You can have all the pinks." Whenever learning how to play a new instrument, he remarked, "Okay, this might take a while." And if he was getting yelled at, he would answer, "All right, Mom, I'll try it like that next time." Clam Ninja was very calm, but there was a time when he really could get very impatient. While learning basketball, he would get stressed and scream, "This is too hard." During violin practice, he would become frustrated and shout, "This violin is not working." While doing schoolwork, he would get anxious and say, "What if I can't finish this?" And I'm sure that this is something that you hear a lot at home. One day, his friend Grateful Ninja introduced him to a strategy to help him feel calmer. "I know you've been feeling stressed out. There's something I do daily that helps me take in life's challenges better. It slows down my breathing so I can make better decisions throughout the day. What is it? Asked Clam Ninja. Okay, do you want to try it? Okay, I'll let you in on my secret. It's called the Ninja Yoga Flow. Sure, let's do it together. The Ninja Yoga Flow. I can stand tall like a mountain. I can bend like a cat. When I exhale, I can moo like a cow. Here's my downward dog. I can slither like a cobra. I am brave like a warrior. I am strong like a boat. I am powerful as a lion. Now, I'm a bridge, and here's my moon. My plank helps my back and stomach. I can get my child in my child's pose. How do you feel? Thanks, I like it. I like it. Yoga makes me feel calm. The most important thing about yoga and remaining calm is remembering to breathe. It's something you can do even when you don't have a lot of time, like this. Inhale for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, exhale for 3 seconds. Seconds, now, you try it. The next day, Clam Ninja had several things to do, and he began to panic. Suddenly, he remembered something. He decided to practice the yoga and breathing exercises he learned. And do you know what happened? That's right, Clam Ninja remained calm the entire day and every day thereafter. He's soon known as the calmest ninja of all. Your calm mind is the ultimate weapon against life's challenges. The end. So, I know we talked about different things that you can do, and in the book they mentioned yoga. Yoga does a lot of different things. Calming, it helps you stretch. It's great for breathing exercises and things like that. Some of the other things that you can do, it had mentioned breathing, so you can breathe by shape, so you can inhale, hold, exhale, and you can teach your shapes that way. You can also dance, do anything that's like super active that will distract you from what you're doing, but you're also finding your center. You're helping yourself express how you feel and those body emotions and that mental emotion. You're finding a way to get it out that's a lot different than what you're doing before. So I hope this video was somehow helpful to you. Please feel free to reach out to me again. I am here to help, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.